So in 1985, a movie came out that was so popular in the horror community and fandom that it really made a big mark. It was a movie directed by Dan O'Bannon, one of the writers of the Alien franchise and many, many, many more wonderful sci-fi horror films. And it was also written by one of the writers of Night of the Living Dead, John A. Russo. And I'm sure you probably guessed it by now, but that movie was Return of the Living Dead. And it went on to make a silly sequel and a third movie that was actually pretty damn good in my opinion, as far as practical effects. But they did make two other movies, a fourth and a fifth? Let's talk about it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be talking about two movies in the franchise of Return of the Living Dead, with Necropolis and Return of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave.
Just look at the flowers.
Yes, 4 and 5. Of Return of the Living Dead that were actually aired on Sci-Fi Channel back to back. And they are rated R, by the way. Actually, the DVDs are the only ones that have the full movie on them. Any of the Blu-rays or whatever apparently have all the gore and everything cut from them. They're like from another country, just FYI. And I'll include links down below if you want to pick it up for yourself, because I'm going to go into why these movies were made, who made them, and a little history on them, kind of tell you what I think about it. Resolution, thank you so much for buying these for me. I wanted to give them an honest rewatch because it's been forever. Like, I haven't seen these since they hit the video store when they first came out. So just a heads up on this. Now, they originally wanted Tobe Hooper to direct these movies. And if you remember, the original Return of the Living Dead was also up for grabs for Tobe Hooper as well, and he turned it down. And the first one is Return of the Living Dead Necropolis. Now, this is a movie that is about a bunch of kids who, of course, attempt to rescue their friend who has been abducted and taken to a nefarious laboratory where they have containers called trioxin number 5. Not 2,4,5 trioxin, but trioxin number 5. One of the uncles is running the laboratory, who happens to be one of the kids who go in to save their friend, and of course they unleash a horde of zombies onto the entire lab and the entire area and have to escape and try to survive. Does it sound familiar? Because a lot of people say that this is like a Resident Evil movie. One, trioxin number 5, you can shoot them in the head and they go down no problem. If you recall, in any of the Return of the Living Dead movies, they can't die unless you basically burn them up, and then that'll create more zombies, or electrocute them like in part 2, and all they'll do is do a Michael Jackson dance. By the way, that scene in that movie, they were not planning to have that in there, and they had that guy run in and do that scene anyway. Necropolis. We're talking about Necropolis. Okay, this movie, it starts off like a teenage kind of stupid party high school movie where everybody looks like they're 27 and they're basically going to be having parties and all these other things. Some stupid, some not, mostly stupid. They're written stupid anyway. William Butler and Aaron Strongoni, who William Butler has gone on to do like a lot of the like Full Moon movies, which, you know, they have their place and they're, you know, in the horror genre, you know, Baby Oopsie. I haven't seen the new ones. I have no idea, but he's done some other movies in the past that I actually liked as well. This one's not very well written. The storyline is kind of silly. You would think that in a world that exists in the Return of the Living Dead franchise 1 through 3, that they know of these zombies and they've happened 3 separate times, that they would learn a thing or two about this kind of stuff. And yeah, no, they don't. Now, I will say that the practical effects in here are actually pretty decent. A lot of people getting shot in the head mostly, not anything really extravagant as far as like gore pieces. But a lot of times they get their heads removed, and those parts get cut out of the, you know, other Blu-ray versions. So if you ever want to get the gore, make sure you get these, the DVDs, I mean. And I'll put links down below for that. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie in a sense because it's not a terrible watch. Clearly the writing is not good and it is very tropey, very stupid. There's the bad friend who has the girlfriend who the good friend is trying to hook up with, and there's this dichotomy between the two of them even though they're friends, and of course, you know, that plays on later on into the movie. But it is just chock full of tropes, and this one is supposed to be a comedy, but it's more of an action comedy horror sci-fi. That's what they call it. But it's really kind of played straight for the most part and not as silly as any of the other movies. Lower your expectations quite a bit. But there are some interesting things that happen, including a bunch of zombies who are loaded with Gatling guns on their hands, swords and knives on another one, and they're made out to be they look like Battleborg from like Star Trek, literally. I don't know why they made them look that way, but it looks kind of cool. And yeah, they're short-lived. And this movie is slathered with Power Man 5000, Godsmack, and a bunch of obligatory music that sounds like it. The sequel even did the same too, except they added a couple more, like I think one dance track. But yeah, I didn't think this was all too good. It is definitely rough around the edges, but not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, to me, House of the Dead is probably one of the pinnacle shit movies, and it has more in common with the Rave to the Grave movie because they go to an island where they're throwing a rave, and yeah, this has a lot in common with that. But I think that the House of the Dead is way worse than both of these films combined. Like, it is terrible. These ones, you know, you can salvage a little bit because of the practical effects in the first one, the weird usage of like Gatling guns and like weird Borg-like zombies. It does bother me quite a bit, and it takes away from the movie, I think, a lot to be able to kill these things off so easily, you know, with a grenade or whatever, you know, like they shouldn't be that easy to kill off. But maybe they did it because logistically it would have cost more money. I don't know. I'll tell you what I think of both of the movies, where they place, and then of course my ultimate picks. This one does not have as much comedy in it as any of the movies, any of them, including the next one, but it does have something about it that makes me kind of interested in it. Some of the makeup effects is good. You might want to check it out. I would probably give this one like a 3.5, maybe a 4 out of 10. Now, Rave to the Grave, which is written and directed by all the same people because they did it back to back, is about the same cast of characters, minus a few because, you know, spoiler alert, some of them die, including a kid. But, you know, I'm not really spoiling the movie. Nobody cares about the characters in either of these movies. So don't go in expecting that, because you're never going to find that kind of love or adoration for the characters. In fact, in this one gets so ridiculous and silly. It's probably closer to the other sequels in comedy, but the comedy is absolutely terrible. There's two guys that are dressed kind of suspiciously like John Travolta and Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction. Yes. I'm pretty sure it's a nod. It gets really ridiculous and stupid. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway, the surviving cast return for part 2. They are somehow in college now, so they're no longer high school students. They're in college. They're dating other people because, you know, that matters in a zombie apocalypse that they just survived. But their lives have moved on in probably less than a year because they look the same age, and in fact, they are. They might be a few months apart. I don't know. In this movie, they aren't too bright. The main kid of the movie who had the uncle who worked at the lab, they find out died.
Son, I have some bad news for you.
What's up?
My uncle's been killed.
And he's really upset about it. Now keep in mind, his uncle stole his friend to make him into a zombie in the first one, the Necropolis. Like, who cares? Like, fuck that guy. Anyway, so the kid goes into his uncle's house to get his belongings from the house and I guess take it with him to his college. Anyway, he finds a secret room where there's 3 barrels, or was 3 barrels and now only 2. Takes one of them and hides them at the school where his other friend, surviving friend from Necropolis, does experimentation on it to make drugs.
Ecstasy. Hallucinogens.
No, Jeremy, don't do that.
Yeah, party drugs or the Rave to the Grave. And yes, of course, they synthesize trioxin 5 down into what they say are similar properties as ecstasy into a party drug that turns people into zombies. But originally, it just kind of makes people fucking feel like they're about to die on the brink of death, and then they come back. After surviving a Resident Evil Return of the Living Dead apocalypse, they decide that his uncle would never be up to anything nefarious after killing their friend and experimenting on him, kidnapping him, releasing zombies into the world. Your fucking friends are dead, man. And you're just gonna scoop it out of a barrel that there was something in and try to... Forget it. So there is a DJ guy who tries it out, and then they say, oh, it's okay. It's obviously just good drugs. So these two other guys, who are the Samuel Jackson / John Travolta guys,
son of a bitch. My bad.
are going after and following these kids to see where it leads. And it leads up to Halloween night, where they're throwing a huge rave in a cemetery somewhere in Romania, but it's supposed to be America. Both of these films are shot in Romania, by the way. And the actor who's the DJ is actually a famous Romanian actor. He's like the perfect, like, you know, party kid in this movie, and he plays the like dummy, you know. I mean, I think they're all pretty dumb, but this one gets really ridiculous. They throw the party, there's zombies appearing everywhere. This one takes the piss out of everything that it possibly can to make a joke or make a non-funny joke in any situation that they can. There are a couple of funny moments in it. Some people say that this is their favorite one of the two because of the comedy's better. I still prefer this one over this. I think both of them are about the same. I just think that Rave to the Grave is just too ridiculous. It's kind of annoying because of all the, like, you know, writing errors of the characters. It just doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. I mean, neither of them really do, and you have to suspend your disbelief for both of them. But I think if I had to, I would give this one a 3 out of 10, maybe a 3.5. They're pretty close, but this one I think is the better movie because at least it's not trying to be stuff a joke in every 5 seconds. So what's my takeaway from this? Yeah, these two are not very good movies, but a lot better than I expected, guys. You know, so maybe you might want to give them a watch, see what you think. They're definitely not going to be good movies, but you know, maybe there's something about it that you'll find that you can enjoy just in general. I like zombie films. I have for years, and you know, I felt like I needed to give these a rewatch. My favorite zombie film of the franchise is by far number 1. My second favorite is number 3, and part 2 is my number 3, and I would say Necropolis and Rave to the Grave. All of them are fairly watchable, but if you didn't like part 2, these are going to be a hell of a lot worse. But, you know, there's still something a little charming about watching a shitty horror movie because you don't have to have so many expectations. And I get it, you know, if you hate these movies, it's because, you know, it obviously is nothing like the original, but neither of the first 2 sequels are very much like the first one. Although I would say that the second one, actually, with the 2 characters in it, is at least similar in comedy, but a little bit more on the stupid side. If you got a taste for these, you might want to check them out yourself. You're gonna get what you expect from it, but they're not as bad as I thought they were gonna be, so I think they deserve a little bit of credit. Even if they're not good films, I've seen so much worse. What do you guys think? Have you seen these movies? How long has it been since you watched them? Do you like them? So let me know which one of the 2 is your favorite out of the shit pile. Like, which shiny turd, which was the shitty or the best turd of the 2? But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. But thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.